Yes, my people, this is Xavier back again, and I'm honored, in fact, to be joined by, I'll say, the next phase of influencer boxing, Divine Xavier. Divine, how are we doing today?
How you doing, bro? I'm freaking great.
Yeah. So, before we get started, I'd like to ask, when did you first start watching influencer boxing?
I think it was the first KSI versus Joe Weller
Yeah, yeah,
event. I think it was that one, and then because I was a fan of KSI at the time, and then I didn't
yeah,
actually start actively like getting into it until I think KSI versus Logan Paul 2
yeah,
was really when I was like,
yeah.
oh shit,
Wait, KSI Joel was like what, 2017, 2018?
yeah, something like that. It was a long time ago.
How old are you? How old were you back then?
I think back then I must have been like, I want to say almost like 13, 14, because I'm 22 now. So I was like 13
Oh,
or 14
damn.
back then, maybe.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it was a minute ago.
Yeah. So when you first watched those fights, were you ever thinking, "Oh, one day I want to be on that stage fighting"?
I would have never imagined. I would have never
Yeah.
thought ever. I would have never ever guessed.
So would you say with this whole Misfits boxing sort of scene, it's helped you propel your dreams into reality?
Oh yeah, and it's one of those things where the scene was really easy to get into, and I'm not that the bar was low, except there wasn't really that many active content creators at the time, and so I was just like screw it, and I just went all in on it, and then it just kind of just
Yeah.
became reality at some
Yeah.
point.
So when did you first sort of like set the goal of like, all right, I want to do this? Like, was it the first Misfits event when you
I
started?
think so. I was watching, I think it was Misfits 7 because when I watched the first Misfits, I was like, oh, this is cool. And I just
Yeah.
kept watching them, just watching them just because like KSI's in them or like maybe one of my other influences that I used to watch was in them. And then I think after Misfits 7, because at the time, I can't even lie, I love Deji so much. Like, Deji was
Oh,
one of like
okay.
my favorite YouTubers ever. And he had just
Yeah.
fought and he had fought Swarms. And I was like, you know what? I just want to start making videos about it. And then
Yeah.
the rest was history.
The rest was history. So
Yeah.
you're speaking about influencer boxing, and you've been quite vocal online about fighters promotion. Genuinely, they can hash it out. What do you genuinely think about the promotion or the lack of promotion from Misfits fighters at the recent times?
So a lot of times I am just exaggerating because
Yeah,
sometimes most of the time the fighters will promote on like their Instagram or
yeah,
their YouTube videos, but like in terms of like extravagant, bold,
yeah,
big not controversy, but just big grand gestures, it's like no one's really putting in an effort to like genuinely make it a big thing. They're only like slightly mentioning it, or maybe they post some bag work, which is cool, because I was
yeah.
posting bag work and stuff like
Right,
that.
right,
But
right.
I don't know, I can't even fathom an analogy. Like you have to just take it and just do extravagant things to grow yourself.
Exactly. I mean, I have like quite similar opinions. Like I remember back in the day, like remember the Gibb Taylor Holder that promotion, like
Yeah,
Deji Gibb with the like Deji like was that the tank video for the Alex fight? I'm pretty sure it's for the Alex fight.
I
But
think
like
so. Yeah,
we don't get that anymore.
we
We just
don't.
get like I'll be honest, like I'm not like throwing shade or anything. Like we get boxing, you box obviously. I'll get to that later. Like you can die in that ring. It's a very, very serious sport. But at the end of the day, you guys
100%.
are influencers, and posting a couple tweets is like I can do that in like 5 seconds.
Oh yeah, literally. It's like
Yeah, like
I
oh,
feel
just
like
type
they
some
get
words in.
done training and then they just go on here and they're like, I'm gonna beat up yada
Yeah,
yada
yeah.
yada, and they just like don't even think about it. And it's just like,
So if you were to ever get the opportunity to fight on Misfits, what sort of promotion would you provide?
look, I save my best content for when I have my first Misfits run
Yeah,
because there's a lot of ideas and songs and stuff that I'm just sitting on, just waiting to just make relevant to
yeah,
whatever situation it's gonna be, and
yeah,
it's just gonna. I'm diss tracks, roast videos, like
yeah,
it's the whole spiel, the whole spiel. It's gonna be amazing.
yeah. So if you were to fight on Misfits, would you rather fight in your hometown US or the UK, personally.
This is actually gonna sound kind of crazy,
Yeah,
but I actually really want to fight in the UK because I've always wanted to go over there, and I've already fought in the US twice. I fought for the first time on Breakout in
yeah.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and then I fought in Nashville, Tennessee. Which Nashville, Tennessee, that's where all the white girls are. I won my fight in front of a bunch of white girls, so I mean I've satisfied my urge to fight in the US. I want to go to the
Yeah.
UK and win in front of a bunch of beautiful British women.
No, but I was thinking like UK for you too because I think the core Misfits fans mostly are in the UK. Like you see all their like the non-pay-per-views, the stadiums are like almost filled. So
Yeah.
I think for like fighter exposure, like any fighter to fight in the UK is it was amazing. As well as
Yeah, I
like on
think the
the
UK loves it.
like the KSI card obviously got cancelled, but like I was thinking like you're on a KSI undercard and none of these guys are like promoting as much, you know, because like fighting on a KSI undercard is a very very big thing. Like KSI is probably like quite big, even like mainstream media, you know, BGT, Inside, Netflix, all that. He's probably like one of the biggest now. So all the even like mainstream media we would have been covering it.
No,
So
yeah,
like
because Unbear
yeah,
he fought on a KSI undercard, and look what he
yeah,
did. He became
yeah,
massive in the
yeah,
Misfit scene, and I
yeah,
think, I mean, he had a small TikTok following, but I mean, it's nothing compared to what he built off of being one of the only people actually creating
yeah,
extravagant big pieces of content, and he
exactly.
propelled himself in the scene astronomically. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
So I would like to say, obviously, your connection with the scene and the connections you made with other people. How do you think? Did you expect to make such, you know, maybe you could so-called say potentially friends for life within the scene, or do you think like were you like surprised by that at all?
I was so surprised because I had came into this scene, you when you go on Twitter, you don't expect to make any type of friends. You don't
Yeah,
really expect to, meet people, and especially like to the level that, in the US especially. I don't know how the UK side is because I don't live in the UK, but
yeah,
in terms of the US, a lot of people are meeting up and sparring together, and
yeah,
obviously breakout boxing, hosting events and meeting up and making content. It's just like I would have never predicted a million years in my life that I would have ever met people and made content with them and become friends. And like it's mind blowing. It's crazy.
yeah. Honestly, like Xavier, I've just started doing. You're like my second interview. I interviewed what Yadi like about a week ago. I never
That's
thought
fire.
I'd be like, oh, I'm sitting with Yadi guy, like chatting like 30, like 40 minutes with him. It was like, it's crazy. Like the influence of boxing space is like honestly one of the best. Like in, the crossover is crazy. Like with like the smaller content creators as well as, you know, you've got like Darren Till, you've got KSI, you've got footballers, you've got
Yeah,
actors. Like
literally. Yeah. Like,
it's,
they're all
it's
just here watching.
yeah. So I'd like to go talk about your CFL fight. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you have a proper team, like a proper like training camp? Because
I did not, not at all.
yeah, yeah, because you did mention that.
Now,
My
yeah, what happened was,
yeah,
I train at home, which I
yeah,
would literally train at home every day for at
yeah,
least 3 hours. I would do
yeah,
bag work and jump rope and run and the whole spiel. It's just that obviously I'm not gonna dive too much into it because there's a lot to explain. But going to the gym is a super major hassle because I also work and all that stuff.
yeah,
So, and it's very expensive to do this stuff on top of just surviving.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I would really only go to the gym either to spar or just to do those like those like classes where everyone's like doing the bag and stuff and all that stuff. So I would only really be able to do that. But in terms of like fully going to the gym every day, like I wasn't going to a literal boxing gym, but I was doing some type of strenuous, terrible, painful activity as much as I could,
yeah.
as much as possible.
Would you say it was difficult not having like a coach to like guide you, especially being a novice with to the
Oh
sport?
yeah. Oh yeah, and it's hard to know where you rank with other people when you aren't constantly being like watched and corrected, and you're not spar because I would spar like my brother and stuff like that. And then
Yeah,
when Tex Gay came down from his hometown, which is all the way across America.
Yeah.
I think he came down twice during this camp, and he was like him and my brother like my main sparring partners like the whole camp. They both are pretty snappy and quick, so I guess that probably helped with Jason because Jason was taller and
Yeah.
he was pretty snappy. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to know where you rank when you don't have, something to compare yourself to very often.
Yeah, certainly. So, but if you were to fight on Misfits, would you try and make that adjustment just to, be a bit more, I'd say? Because I mean, your performance was still really good. Like, if I watched that fight and you told me, oh, he had no coach, I wouldn't have believed it. Because you still put on a heck of a performance, like just sheer hard work,
It's
generally. But
just pure, just
yeah,
grit, just no, yeah, what you said, literally just pure hard work right there.
yeah. So like, but when you fight on Misfits, do you think you would hopefully would want to get a coach?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because with Misfits, I don't know exactly how much fighters get paid, but I
Yeah.
mean, I'm assuming the bare minimum is like, like maybe like 1 or 2 grand, like nothing, I'm not getting paid millions,
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands, but
Yeah.
I would probably get paid at least enough to be able to buy
Yeah.
what I need to actually get a camp. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's it's one of those things where I would have to fight on Misfits maybe once just to sort of get myself in that realm and have
Yeah.
that what I have earned from whatever to actually propel myself further in terms of like boxing training and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll ask you just some general questions about Misfits. Out of, let's say, KSI were to retire, who would you think yourself personally would be next in line to be that pay-per-view star?
Man, that is such a good question. And that question puzzles me because if you asked me this question like 3 or 4 months ago, I would have said like Slim or Dean the Great or Gibb, but a lot of these guys don't really seem, and this is no diss, right? Because
Yeah.
I genuinely do love watching these guys, but and they don't really seem that loyal to Misfits, which is understandable because I mean, they want to get the best opportunities and they want to, fight and get, like if they want to fight for, like some of the pro shows and stuff like that, like, it makes sense. But, I
Right.
think in terms of finding somebody that would have the ability to be a pay-per-view star and stay strictly on that's rare. I mean, I think Anthony Taylor is one of the only few who is like loyal to Misfits to the
Right.
bone. I think he just needs to work on maybe being a bit more consistent with engaging with the community a bit more, which he does with CFL. Because
Yeah.
when it comes to CFL, AT's all over that. But I think he would just have to work on somehow making more content and being more, I guess, visual when it's in between shows and stuff like that. But when it comes to promoting, I can't lie.
Yeah, AT solid.
AT's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, AT's good. He's good.
To be honest, I did ask Yodi this. I think I have an answer to this. Are you familiar with Danny Aaron's?
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking about pay-per-view stars, meaning filling seats. I think AT is huge, very, very big within the scene and outside the scene as a little bit. But like, Danny has that global audience. And
That is true.
like, because I've been watching Danny for like, what, 3-4 years? So I've seen him like, his come up, his audience growth, all that. And like, out of KSI, I think he can sell. He managed to still save that show when KSI pulled out. He still pushed to the main event. People still watched. And like, the only reason why it's not possible now, because I'm not sure if you know, got engaged and has a child.
Yeah, with Tennessee
Thrasher,
Yeah.
So I don't think he's gonna box anytime soon. But like, out of everyone I've seen on Misfits, he's probably has been the only one that could fill in that KSI void. Because like March 29th, like Misfits is a business, right? If they had someone on that card that could fill that KSI void, they would have pushed them. No disrespect or anything, but I think it was like all strictly business at the end of the day. But if Danny was on that card, let's just say hypothetically, I think, in my opinion, that could have still worked out. Kind of, maybe. I don't think he would have fought Dylan Dennis though. I'm not too sure about that.
It's hard to get someone
Yeah,
on KSI's level. I think the only person that I could think of is maybe like, and I'm thinking of terms of people who have already fought on Misfits or like in that
yeah,
realm. People like it would have to be some type of like streamer or like big YouTuber.
yeah,
Maybe like man, I can't even like I don't know because like when it comes to that like you could easily say like Logan Paul or something because Logan Paul is massive. He's a big
yeah.
star.
You can just
But
say
like,
Logan.
I
Yeah,
don't think
exactly.
he would be fighting on Misfits multiple times a year because he's in the
Yeah,
WWE and he has all this other stuff he's doing. So it's. I think I don't know if KSI decides to retire, man. I don't know. It's kind of scary to think
yeah.
who would be the next pay-per-view star.
Because I think, to be honest, they should be having those sort of conversations. Because unfortunately, recent events have shown, KSI's boxing career been going like not because
Yeah.
of him, but just because of just external circumstances. So
Oh
I
yeah.
think, Misfits as a company, because they signed what 5-year deal with the Zone, they need pay-per-views, and KSI can't fight
Yes.
on all those pay-per-views. They've got to think, all right, how do we get pay-per-views?
How do we
How do
keep
we
getting
get
these
out?
pay-per-views and
How
selling seats and
Yeah, because I think the core Misfits fan will always watch. Like, I'll watch, you'll watch. We
oh
have,
yeah,
but
100%.
like, it's not a big, like a massive community. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
it's
it
like a
feels like a big.
niche.
It's like a niche community. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll just see, honestly. But I think Mans, he works very hard. He will definitely pull something out.
He's creative. I
He's
think he'll think
creative,
of
yeah.
something.
And like a lot of we've heard like rumors, like or like Malik Scott's, I think wife is like Kate Abdo, like Kate Scott. I think they're engaged. The
Oh, really?
presenter, the presenter on like the CBS. Do you know who Kate Scott is? She's like big in like football presenting, like quite big.
I don't think so. I don't really watch too
Oh,
much
so
football
yeah. I mean soccer. All right, I keep saying football,
or
but yeah,
soccer. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'd imagine soccer because when I think of football, I think of like
yeah,
soccer.
yeah, 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 yeah. So what was I gonna ask you? Oh yeah. Do you think personally, from the Joe Weller time to now, that influencer boxing kind of got a bit too serious at times?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
1,000%, a million percent. When you compare Misfits to Brand Risk, like Brand Risk is what Misfits was probably going to be, but I think that DAZN has a level of professionalism,
yeah,
and they sort of made it this like I can't really find a good word for it, but it's kind of become a little bit too professional now, and I think that the fun kind of gets sucked out of it when Mams isn't able to fully do what he wants to do,
exactly.
because he gets stopped by the zone or
Yeah,
you can't do things because like budgets and
yeah,
restrictions and just all
yeah,
that stuff. But I think that if if they were able to do stuff like what Brand Risk is doing, like just bringing in streamers and YouTubers and all that, and just having them fight real quick and all that, it would be fine. But
yeah,
it's just not like that.
yeah. I think people often like complain like, oh, we just want to see two guys just go to war, but it kind of just shows like the evolution of the scene, like especially like the lightweight division. You get Yadigan, Lil Craig, Joy Knight, these Argentinian kids. These guys have had amateur fights, so you can't
Oh
like
yeah.
take them lightly. There's places for like those. I wouldn't say gimmick joke fights because boxing is a serious sport, but people with very little experience, and then you can still transition to those influencers who take boxing very seriously. Your Salt Pappies, your
Oh,
Gibbs, your
oh yeah,
Kennys.
100%.
So it's about differentiating and making a balance rather than saying, oh, we want to just purely have novices fight. Or
Right, yeah.
because I think did you watch the latest Misfits news episode? How they said, oh, we're gonna try break it into sections, pro,
Yeah,
Misfits
yeah,
pro,
yeah.
yeah. Because like Angry Ginge,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was on his podcast, and then him, Mashtag Brady, the UK guy that just travel guy
That
on the
that sounds
TikTok.
really familiar. I think if I saw a picture of him, I'd probably know who he was.
Yeah, yeah. Like they said they wanted to fight, but then they were like scared because like, oh, they think Misfits became too serious. But they would say if they were to fight, it'll probably be like 2 3 weeks training. That's it.
Right, yeah.
But like I think Misfits do sort of need those fights because they can bring bigger creators. Yes, they probably won't be Misfits long term, but like if they ever needed them for like a co-main or main event pay-per-view, potentially.
Right, like streamers like Neon or
Yeah,
Jack Doherty, like people were, hating on it, but I mean they would sell a lot of especially in the
exactly.
US, they would sell a lot of seats. So I mean,
Exactly.
it's, maybe they
Yeah.
wouldn't box the best, but I think in terms of numbers it would have been pretty
Yeah.
people would have watched that for sure.
Yeah. So speaking about the US, how do you think the Misfits scene in the US is? Do you think it's growing like quite big now, or do you think it's still like, you know,
It's
not as big as it could be?
it's not as big as it could be, and that's not really anybody's fault. I mean, for one, it's a UK brand. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously in the US it's somewhat big, but it's, at the end of the day, it's KSI owns it. KSI is big in the UK,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
it's I mean, it could be bigger if you have people like Bryce Hall, Taylor Holder, all them fighting on it. But, I mean, there's not a lot of US people that are massive that are like really wanting to like do what Misfits is doing right now. It's kind
Yeah.
of hard to find people like that.
Yeah. So I'll pose you another question. If let's say you're a Mounds and you had to try grow Misfits in the US, what's like one thing you might like try and do? Because that's like a genuine question. Because UK, you already know it's massive. They're all gonna come, but like to tap in the US market in any industry is hard. Let alone influencer boxing. So let's
Yeah.
just and you're quite invested in the scene. So I'm just wondering if you were in charge, what's like one thing you might do to help influencer boxing grow in the United States?
I think I would either hire or I would make a lot of content that is also based in America. I would get some American people to get involved with the scene and, make content on the Misfits channels and help
Yeah,
promote it. And I would try to get as many big YouTube stars or streamers especially streamers. Streaming is so big these days. Like, I think if they were able to get, even like mediocre size streamers, like what's his face, NPC Miles Morales,
oh yeah,
he
yeah,
was
yeah,
boxing on Dean the Great stream. If you can get him, like, obviously he's not a massive star, but he, like, people would be like, oh, that's the guy that was on TikTok, and
yeah,
they'd watch. And then if you can get people that's why I'm so peculiar about people promoting, because if you get someone that's watching that Misfits card for NPC Miles Morales, and then they have this guy over here that's doing this, they're like, okay, well, now I'm invested in both these guys because I was gonna watch for this guy, but this guy's also funny as hell. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like, it's just
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I would try to, fill as many gaps as possible, and make sure that
Yeah.
people's attention spans don't have enough time to capture everything going on because there's so much going on.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I think just American streamers can actually, or American content creators can actually break into like the UK like audience. Like, for
Oh,
example,
yeah.
like you watch Inside, like Jason and Sinner.
Yeah.
Like I knew like of Jason a bit and Sinner not really. Then I watch Inside, I'm like, damn, they're pretty cool. And like now, like they're like I know a lot about them. Same with like some of my friends, like people like in Australia. I'm based in Australia. Like they know that they always say, "Oh, Sinner's cool," or Jason, or they've seen all like the Jason clips. Or like
Right.
same with
Yeah.
like the Americans when they see UK people like Clarky, like who else was on it? I think Clarky was probably the best one. The UK guy
Yeah. And
on
then
Inside.
what was his name? It was like a P.
Oh,
Can't even
PK
forget his
Humble,
name
PK
already.
Humble.
Yeah, PK Humble. Yeah, like people
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. So with yourself, I'll talk this year. What are your future plans? What's like your goal? That's one thing you want to achieve this year.
As of right now, I think I just want to try to keep growing as much as possible so that I mean, obviously, like, I'm not doing all of this for Misfits because, like, when I first got in the scene, like, I obviously when you first get in the scene, you DM all your favorite people and you're like, "Ah." But when and I think after a while it kind of got to a point where I was like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna try to actually actively fight on Misfits. But
Yeah,
then it kind of just came to me, and then I think Misfits will be the one thing that will really give me a crutch in terms of like, all my content and like just my personality. I think it'll fit me very well, compared to other people. But I think I want to, in terms of goals, I want to try to just grow myself as much as possible so that if I even did fight on Misfits, it would be more beneficial, not only for me, but it would also benefit Mams and DAZN and all
Yeah.
the people, because I can only imagine how restrictive they are and how picky they can be, and it's understandable because it's a business. But
Yeah, of
I
course.
think I would just try to bring more to offer and try to just make sure I'm staying consistent, and not only to fight on Misfits, but to just keep growing myself and really seeing like what I'm capable of,
Yeah, exactly. Being like a small content creator within the influencer boxing space at this moment in time, do you have any advice for other like people, like just to like if they wanted to be on Misfit, what's one piece of advice that you would give?
Honestly, I would say find something that you are either really good at or really passionate about. It doesn't have to be just content. It could be maybe you make music, maybe you make clothes, you make posters, you interview, you make
Yeah,
content. It could be anything. If you just find one thing and you just keep being consistent. If I had to say anything about content, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You could take foot picks every day for 3 years. As long as you are consistent with it and you are actively engaging with everybody in the community and you're being genuine, like it's gonna happen.
yeah,
You're gonna find yourself in predicaments that you didn't even think you were gonna be in, but you just kept going, and it before you know it, you are just doing things you never would have ever thought you would have ever been doing. It's
yeah,
crazy.
exactly. I just started out doing like this content interview thing because like, oh, why not? And I met Yari Gang, and I'm
Oh yeah,
like talking to
literally.
you. Like I've seen you guys on Twitter, I've seen you guys boxing now. Here we are. Like it's kind of crazy, like the power of social media.
And like
But
imagine if you just like did this for like a year. What like maybe
exactly,
you get on like Fred level, you know what I mean? Like if you just really
yeah,
just keep on going, like
yeah,
you never know, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
I wouldn't say I personally want to be an interviewer, but like it's a bit of like a hybrid sort of thing.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
like kind of like, well, I guess weight's the closest thing.
Sort
He's
of
sort
like
of
a
hybrid.
commentating slash like boxing and
Yeah,
like
but
like
I
so
wouldn't
just
be
like
like,
boxing content stuff like that.
yeah, boxing content for like just sort of content that I like to talk about, like boxing, football, just sport in general. So before we wrap things up, I ask this after every interview. I mean, well, I've had one interview, but I thought this is what I plan to do. What's the best quote or piece of advice you've heard in your life?
You know what? That it's crazy you said that because I just posted that on my Instagram story yesterday. I saw it and I was like, man, this is like perfect. It is where is it at? Oh, is it already gone? Okay, well it was let me find it. The quote is so fire. It's got an amazing picture and everything. The day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. And it had this picture of this chihuahua.
Oh
And
yeah,
I saw this and I was like, man, like that is so true. Like I was going back and I was looking at my old videos from like 2023 and I was like, wow, like if I think of it in terms of like that was me planting seeds, like it's just unbelievably mind blowing. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. And oh yeah, and one more thing. In terms of like advice for creators, one I can't believe I forgot to say this. I would also make it very important to invest in quality as much as possible. Even if you have a 4K camera, find a way to find softwares to upscale it even more. Like make sure you're always doing your best to enhance the quality and you're pushing yourself to do better even if you don't have to. You know what I mean? Because there's been a lot of times where I was like, "Oh, I mean, this editing is good enough." But if I say it's good enough, then I get complacent and I don't try as hard and I don't expand and keep growing. So, take risks
yeah.
and have fun and then invest in quality and just be yourself.
All right. Well, on that note, Thank you very much, Divine. Pleasure to have
Sir.
you. And there we have it. Ladies and gentlemen, another interview in the books. Much love to Divine. I appreciate you. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys when you're older. Don't go changing. Bye-bye.